Hello and welcome back to AYWHV. I'm a European champion.
And I'm Tom, also a European champion.
How we doing? Unbelievable scenes. Life is complete. My life peaked at that moment. Every moment there, every moment in Prague was just unbelievable. We're going to chop this up a little bit. So we're going to do a bit with Tom, who was in the fan zone with 20,000 fans. Going to do a bit with Chloe, who had a ticket somewhere else in the ground along with myself. And then we'll also get the old man on as well to get his point of view, sat at home with friends. So let's go.
Let's go, yeah. What a day. I mean, we got back on Thursday, and it's Thursday, wasn't it? I haven't stopped thinking about it. We got home on the Thursday night, I was knackered. And I still scroll through Twitter till about 3:30, 4 in the morning.
I mean, we
couldn't stop looking at it.
We're recording this Saturday afternoon. We wanted to do it Friday, but we were just knackered.
Yeah.
And then we thought, you know what, let's just do this in 3, hopefully 10-minute segments. So, as I said.
Yeah.
So, let's jump straight into it. So, first of all, let's talk about the journey, because I was actually in Greece for a week, as I've said on here before. I went from Greece to Milan. These guys went from Stancy to Milan. I met them in Milan, which, I mean, the fiasco there was a joke, wasn't it? I mean, so I landed bang on time. There was about an hour and 2 hours in between the Greece and Milan flight, so I was a bit nervous, but a little bit shaky, but we made it. As I got off the plane, there was 2 exits. There was arrivals and there was transfer, right? I had a week's worth of luggage. I had a 20-kilogram suitcase that I had to take to Prague with me.
He's lying. He took dozens of clothes to Prague. He didn't know what he wanted to wear.
Yeah, a week's worth of clothes for one night. But I took it there, right? And I said to this geezer, I said, if I go up the transfer, am I going to be able to go and collect my suitcase and then check it back in? He's like, yeah, 100%. I shouldn't have listened to him. I went up there. I'd say by the time I stepped off the plane, I went through the doors, I went up the steps, I was with them guys within about, honestly, 2 minutes. It was a joke.
It took us about 2 hours to get through security, and he's here in 5 minutes off his flight.
It was ridiculous. And then I was like, how you doing? You all right? Saw Leon. Shout out to Leon. Massive shout out to Leon.
What a legend.
He was the old DJ at the bowling ground. And I've been talking to him for a little while, and found out that he was on our flight. Obviously, you randomly bumped into him. He knew you from watching us on here, didn't he?
Yeah, we bumped into City away actually.
That's
well.
it.
Yeah, and just in Spoons casually at 3 in the morning having a Stella, and bumped into Leon, and we just took the journey of him from there.
Top man, Leon, absolute top man. And then he was with us all the way, really. He was with us, obviously. So yeah, final thing is, I'll just finish it off on that situation. So I realised, shit, I needed to actually get my suitcase, check it back in to the flight, obviously, and then go through security again. So I had to bomb it to baggage reclaim, exit the airport, go round through the entrance.
Gate was closed in about 45 minutes at this point.
Literally, I think I had an hour.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to pay to check in because I had a suitcase and it was a transfer flight. I had to pay 50 quid. Check my suitcase in, 2-hour queue to get through security. Luckily, I remembered, and in the panic, I forgot that I had fast track with my transfer. 5 people in the queue, bang, straight through, and yeah, somehow I made it, and then we made it through. So we landed in Prague about 1:30. Was it 1:30?
I was going to say, if he didn't make it through that security, I'd have had his bloody match day ticket.
Yeah. Oh, mate. Yeah, no, you would have. You was probably thinking, go on, son, miss it.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Tom nearly had a ticket.
I did. I gave it to Chloe, didn't I? My ticket.
Well, you had your ticket. You gave that to Chloe because obviously all of your best mates were out there. Big West Ham fans, all out in the fans.
Didn't want to leave her in Prague on her own as well.
But yeah, of course.
The fan zone was mental. We'll go into it. It was great.
Yeah. Obviously, the other fella, Graham, his son, he's waiting his son's passport to arrive. If his son's passport didn't arrive, then the ticket was yours. But that is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, you've had an unbelievable experience going to a West Ham concert, basically, right? Which is, again, we'll get into it in more detail. So we're in Prague. We go to our massive hotel. It was ridiculous. Airbnb. It was ridiculous. Leon come with us, dropped his bag, and then we headed to I went to the Old Town Square with Chloe, and then you went with Leon to the fan zone. And fan zone, tell us about it, because you've ended up on the stage, weren't you, or something?
Yeah, not on the stage, but we bumped into people that were on the stage, and we basically got backstage with a few old school, Leon obviously used to, as you said, DJ at Upton Park, and we managed to start talking to, shout out to Tony Perry and Chris Skull.
Yeah.
We basically started chatting to them. Leon was getting called on the stage, like, come over, Leon. Obviously I was with him. Had a good catch up with him, all lovely, really good chats. Tony's been across the world at World Cups, and he's done
every football game, every big football game you watch, he's there. And obviously Chris
Bumped into him in Ghent.
Yeah, Chris, we bumped into in Ghent. We'll bang a picture on now.
Yeah.
And absolute top man. So yeah.
And, well, when I first got in the fan zone, obviously a lot of West Ham fans I know already. It was full of mud. It was just drenched, but we just didn't care. Like my shoes were ruined, but I'll do it all again. I'll do it 100 times.
Yeah.
Like it was unbelievable. Yeah, met some great people, and even on the way into Prague, met Ethan Payne, Bazinga, and also Charlie. Great lads as well.
Top boys.
Everyone was just in great spirit. Like it was unbelievable.
It was just every West Ham fan and their dog was out there. It was unbelievable. And that fan zone, me and Chloe went there to meet you, and as we got there was when Chesney Hawkes finished, and because obviously we come from the main square.
Yeah.
And then. Chris on the stage, he was like, right, if you've got a ticket for the game, you better go now. I was thinking, really? But obviously you've got the Liverpool situation last year, which was, well, it was ridiculous, weren't it, really? You got people that couldn't get into the ground because they had a ticket, couldn't get in. Official match day ticket. Some of the families couldn't even get into the ground, could they? Yeah. And obviously then you had the situation with the Roma fans this year in the Europa League, where, they were jibbing it, basically. You putting your ticket in, and 2 people were going through the turnstiles. So, so it's quality for you to be on the stage, and I mean, you and your boys must have had a fucking belter in there.
Yeah, it was honestly probably the best experience. Well, it was the best experience I've had. It was nice to be with all the lads as well. We got these kind of like barcodes on our arms, so you topped up your barcode. It was quite good actually, and you basically go to the bar and they scan your barcode, and you've got like points on there to buy a pint, which was quite good. So instead of having to pay every time, you just go there straight away as you check in. Buy like, say, 30, 40 quid, whatever you want to put on your arm, and you just scan it. The people scan it, you get a beer, happy days. But
I mean, a 30, 40 quid out in Prague is a load of money.
You say that, but they were charging about 5, 6 quid a pint in the fan zone, which was cheeky of them. Outside of that, you'd have got loads of it.
Yeah.
But it was great, and I mean, we'll insert clips at the end. It was like a festival, live music, a lot, and I can't even go to explain the limbs when we're scoring goals and that.
That lady we met back on the flight after, she was like, she does again like stuff for West Ham. She was like, oh, they should do it every year.
Yeah,
they should plug every year a big old concert. But I mean, in the day, you're not going to recreate that atmosphere, are you?
Imagine getting relegated, right? We're all meeting up here.
Yeah,
now.
You're not going to be able to create the pre-match,
no, you're not.
and then a post-match of winning a fucking a European Cup for the first time in 48 years.
Luckily, the weather was nice. I made a massive mistake. I wore jeans. I was probably the only man in there wearing jeans. I just thought it was going to rain. We looked at the forecast before, and I've turned up absolutely. I was tempted to cut my jeans in half. Luckily, towards the end of the evening, it cooled down a bit, and it actually started raining. But I think it was raining the whole game because people were throwing their beers in the air when we scored and all that. So it was just soaked anyway.
Yeah,
yeah.
Oh, it's mental, isn't it? It's mental. Yeah. Let's talk about the game.
I want to shout out a few players in the game.
Star performances from probably 3 players in particular.
Definitely.
Emerson. Massive call from Moyes putting him in. Huge.
Yeah.
Because Cresswell played the semi-final. Cresswell
played most of the season.
Most of the season. He's played most of the European games. And, he's obviously gone with Emerson, the man who's won every single UEFA Cup there is now. And I think his experience showed, didn't it?
Yeah.
A few times.
We saw Cresswell last season. I'm not going to talk down on Cresswell. He's a West Ham. In my eyes, he's almost a legend. He's been at the club for nearly a decade. He is
now, mate.
Yeah, been through the wars of West Ham as well. But he can take a set piece, and we rely on that a lot at the moment this season because anyway, been creating chances really. But it's a big call, and Emerson just showed his quality. For me, he's an 100% one of the first names in the team sheet next season. The way he played in that game, 50-50s, the second balls. He actually covered a lot of the midfield's kind of like positions because Declan Rice maybe didn't have his best game, so like them second balls, Emerson was jumping on it straight away. Yeah,
there was one moment in the second half where they were about to break, and it, like you said, he just come across. He'd done Rice. This guy's had done. I think it was the moment where Rice pressed high, and he as quite rarely got done, and Emerson was just there, bang, and a few times where actually Cresswell he wouldn't go down the line, do a step over and nutmeg someone. That's not his game.
And Cresswell, he's not quick, really, is he?
No. Cresswell is like you said, he's a dead ball specialist, more defensively minded, and that's the way we play. When Cresswell was at his best, when we had AC9 up top, Andy Carroll, because that was when he would sit deep and he would just ping balls in, bang, bang, all day long. Nowadays, Antonio Susek wasn't really getting in that box, because we had to watch. They had most of the ball. They had most of the ball. They had probably 70% possession for most of the game.
Counter-attacking football. We knew they control the ball. Emerson's quick on the break, and it worked.
Bang! It absolutely worked. I mean, literally within a minute, we was counter-attacking them.
Yeah,
obviously, Antonio shot within inside the first minute. So Emerson was brilliant.
Yeah.
Paqueta. Again, first half, I'm not going to say just him specifically because it took a long while for our players to grow into the game. I mean, some of the misplaced passes in the first half were just like you saw the nerves of a European final.
Huge game, wasn't it?
You know, Susek misplaced passes, even Paqueta misplaced passes, but we still did one thing right, and that was defended and defended properly and kept our shape.
A bit nervy though towards the end of that first half.
Yeah, they can have the ball all game.
Yeah,
they can have the ball all game if they do nothing with it. Their first shot on target, excluding the goal that they obviously had disallowed, was the second half, and it was that number 99 edge of the box shot
straight in Ariola's hands,
straight into his arms. So let's talk about the disallowed goal.
Do you know what? Because we was watching the telly, so you can see on the telly, like, you know, VAR's checking was. Well, you talk about Chloe in the ground, probably a bit of a different experience. But we were seeing the replays, and do you know what? The TV was massive, and I was a bit far back. I was thinking he could be onside here. The first angle I saw, because everyone celebrated when he called it offside. I was like, nah, let's wait a minute.
Yeah.
But you see it on the TV, and you see the lines come up, and you do get a bit nervous. I reckon you had a bit of a different experience to me, but. Yeah, thankfully it was offside. Massive sigh of relief. You wouldn't have wanted to concede there for half time.
No, 100%. I mean, I think Susek took him out in the process as well, didn't he? Susek with the old elbow.
He got taken off, didn't he?
Got taken off half time. I mean, that was a massive shout anyway from Italiano because he's obviously Cabral was the top scorer of the tournament. I don't know what that was about. I've never really. Every time I've watched Jovic, I've never seen anything with him.
Don't know how he got the big move. He was good with Haller, Frankfurt, but then after that, he's just kind of.
I've never seen anything from that chap. I can say that now. Anyway, you see a half and half here. Me, I bought this. I think in the club shop in England. I got half and half when I went to Seville.
It's only them kind of special occasions.
Yeah, that was the reason I got that is because it was the first European away that I'd actually got into, and B, it was our first European knockout game. Since 50, 60 years ago, so I had to do it then, and this is a cup final. So we didn't buy one when we was out there, but I'm actually really glad to pick one up.
Definitely, the programmes and that.
Yeah, the programmes, as you can see there.
Just one thing I wanted to mention before we switch to Chloe, because I know it's little kind of sections and all that. The way back, so we flew Venice. We flew Venice directly back to Stansted after that, and. Obviously, a lot of Italians on the way back, weren't they, to the Venice airport? Yeah. And I was sat next to a fella with a massive Florentina tattoo on his back, and I was getting my phone up, scrolling through my Twitter feed. You know what? Just embracing the moment, really. And we bumped into so many Florentina fans on the way back.
Coming back, because obviously, like Tom said, we flew into Venice, and it's not far. It's in Italy, for God's sake. So, but I mean, there was enough West Ham on there, though, weren't there? It was a 50-50 flight. Like you had a lot of West Ham on there. It's funny because that was a nightmare. But we actually flew to Venice, Treviso. Then we had about half-hour drive to Venice, Marco Polo, half hour away. So luckily we had a transfer all sorted, and But we're just on cloud nine, and I could talk about this game and day and trip all day.
And
I could.
I guess before we switch, we'll insert the video of the highlights of the fan zone.
Yeah.
You guys get to kind of feel it if you wasn't there for yourselves as well.
100%.
My lover's got no money, he's got his trunk.
My dreams, that's my joy. Oh, just so excited. I looked everywhere.
People just want more and more freedom and love. What he's looking for, more and more.
Highways on fire, and he's shaking Daddy Dyer. Highways on fire, and he's shaking Daddy Dyer. Highways on fire, and he's shaking Daddy Dyer. Highways on fire. La 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 la.
And it's just don't know. It's just a dream.
We could talk about this for hours on end, and I'm sure you could as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a day we'll never forget, and we'll talk to generations about. You know, our granddads, like, you know, they have their stories. We've finally got ours now.
My granddad was behind the goal, 1965 European Cup. It was at Wembley.
And now you watched this one.
And he said he saw those 2 goals from, I'm going to say Seeley, and if it's wrong, I'll crop it out. I'm pretty sure it was Seeley. And you had so many old famous West Ham players. Brian Deere was there. He was part of that team. It's mental. Absolutely mental.